In this video, titignan po natin yung mga requested charts ninyo like DMC, Ali, Web, and Jollibee. Are you guys ready? Let's go! Alright, so let's start off with Ali, no? Now, tong Ali, it's an often requested stock and I actually went through this with my students nung last charting session namin. I think it was last Thursday or something like that, no? Ang sabi ko nga nun, it was likely na makakahanap tayo ng reaction dito sa white zone na to, beneath. And we did, no? Pero, I was very clear na hindi ibig sabihin na porket nagkaroon ng reaction, dapat trade na agad yun nasa isip ko. Na kailangan bounce trade na agad kasi hindi siya nag-yield ng magandang risk-reward for me. Yes, this time it worked out. Nag-bounce tayo ng medyo maayos, no? I think it was around 10% din kung nasalong mo siya sa pinakababa tapos nabenta mo siya sa pinakataas. Again, more or less lang po, hindi ko na binibilang yung exact. But what I want to see na mas malinaw sana from here is kung makapag-print tayo ng bullish structure na pwede nating sandalan to form an actual trade idea around. Okay? Now, kung napapansin nyo, may level tayo dito sa 29 pesos and I wanted to highlight that before we zoomed in. Okay? Para lang alam nyo where this level is coming from. And then the other thing that I want to highlight once again before we zoom in is this was the large range that we were trading at and we actually broke beneath it. Alright? Now, zoom in po tayo para mas mapag-usapan natin ng mabuti. First, we broke down beneath that range. So, the first thing in my mind is hindi naagulat kung umabot man tayo ulit dito sa area na to, ay makahanap tayo ng resistance and then we start pushing lower, forming yung textbook na lower highs and lower lows. Okay? Bakit? Kasi syempre isipin nyo rin, ang tagal na nag-act as support nitong area na to eh. So, on the way back up, previous support might turn into future resistance. Okay? Whether or not it actually does, remains to be seen. Siyempre, kailangan natin makita yung actual. Hindi naman po natin sinusubukan pangunahan kung ano yung gagawin ng merkado. Number 2, itong level na sinabi natin na 29. As we can see, price tried to trade above it. Today, it actually gapped up and tried to push higher pero wala, no? Talagang nag-up tayo tapos we just push lower all throughout the day, closing beneath tong 29 pesos na level pa rin. Okay? So from here, let's say bukas, makalawa, whatever, we start pushing up and start holding above 29 firmly, then that might be an indication na number 1, ready na tayo mag-trade between 29 to 31 pesos na range. Okay? However, hindi ko sinasabi na porket nangyari yun, kailangan i-trade siya agad. Siyempre, kailangan pasok pa rin siya sa kung ano man yung hinahanap nyong price action or setup sa market. And then pangatlo, yung sinasabi kong bullish structure, what I want to actually see is something more like, so it comes up here, pushes down, breaks beneath this low, perhaps mag-form tayo ng some type of inverse head and shoulders pattern, then yun, may mas malinaw tayo na pwedeng sandalan as a potential trade idea moving forward. Kasi right now, where would your stop go? Kung naglagay tayo ng stop beneath here, let's say, gustong-gusto mo talaga bumili dito, you put a stop beneath here. This entire white zone, hindi naagulat na nakahanap tayo ng reaction dyan. So, porket ba maahukay lang tayo na mas malalim, ibig sabihin kailangan cut na? I would argue yung pinakamalinis pa rin na stop would be beneath this. Diba? Which medyo malayo. And then number 2, based on the current structure, yung pwede natin pag-untugan would be right here. So, the risk-reward likely wouldn't be very good. Alright? So, I would rather wait and see na mag-develop tayo ng structure na pwede nating sandalan. Na while yes, itong area na to would still exist, pero at the very least, diba, nagpo-form man lang tayo ulit ng higher highs and higher lows na pwede nating sandalan in the hopes na from there, we can start pushing higher. Okay? Kasi right now, all we can say from current structure is we bounced. That's it. Diba? We can say all those things. Kasi yung RSI naging ganito or yung MA naging ganito, but from price structure alone, from price action alone, ang pinakamasasabi lang natin was it bounced. Wala pang further structure na nag-develop, wala pang kahit na ano. So, Kung gusto nyo i-trade yung bounce, then it's a little too late, no? Nangyari na siya eh. But for me, it's better kung maghintay na lang tayo kung magpo-form nga ba tayo ng bullish structure from here. And then if we do, we can look for trades. If we don't, at least di tayo naipit. Diba? If sabihin natin, tuluyan lang to, nabasag niya tong white zone altogether, medyo delikado tayo dyan eh. Baka balikan natin yung low from yung pandemic. Alright? Now, from here, let's say mabasag natin tong zone na to altogether. Sabihin natin, hindi na tayo mag-form ng bullish structure, tumuloy lang. Basagin natin yan. Then, we'll be watching the ranges. Ang next na range kung mabasag natin tong 31.7 will be between 31.7 hanggang 33.05. So, next, tignan natin yung DMC, no? Now, DMC, as we mentioned before, nag-pull back tayo. Nag-form tayo ng support around 8 pesos na area. Okay? Kung mapapansin nyo, in-adjust ko na ng konti yung levels ko, no? It was here before, pero minove ko na dito kasi medyo matagal din tayo naglaro sa area na to, diba? And from there, we started pushing back up today. Now, where price is right now is kung nasaan yung previous support and resistance natin dito sa inflection point na yan, diba? So, as mentioned before, what I would personally prefer to see dito sa DMC is kung mariretake sana natin tong 8.7 na level, that gives us an opportunity na balikan natin yung gap fill na hindi na puno dati nung nag-try umangat yung price, no? But even then, the possibility exists na baka puntahan natin yan, mauntog, and then we roll back over from there. Okay? Pero let's say ang mangyari was from here, umangat tayo, mag-fill yung gap, bumalik, then we start holding around dito sa 8.7 na area. Then that might be showing na number 1, ready na tayo mag-trade sa range na to between 8.72 to 9.27. And number 2, baka bumibuelo lang tayo from there and we can start trying to push higher again para mabalikan natin yung high dito sa 9.85. Kasi after all, again, sa bigger picture, ito yung range mo eh. Ito yung leg na ginagamit natin. So price is still within this area here. Pwede natin sabihin na nag-overshoot lang tayo ng konti dito. But para masabi natin na may chance na mabalikan natin tong dalawang levels na to, then at the very least, we need to retake and start holding above 8.72. Kaso, kung kunwari naman mula dito, so let me zoom in na for this one, no? Mula dito, we break down and we take out tong 8 pesos na level. Then it wouldn't surprise me kung yung next step niya is babalikan tong support at 7.65, which honestly, hindi ako sure kung mag-hold. Mas kampante ako na makakahanap tayo ng potential reaction dito sa 7.25 na level. Bakit sa 7.25? Kasi that area is once again an inflection point. Acted as resistance here, support here, and support there. Okay? But for now, where it is, where DMC is, parang it's still caught in the middle of chop eh. Structurally speaking, wala namang nagbago. Wala namang na-form na higher high, wala namang pang na-form na higher low, at least wala pang confirmed, no? So, from that vantage point, all we can really do right now is wait and see what it does next. But, at least meron tayong encouraging signs na it's starting to show signs of life, even though hindi pa rin ganun kaganda ang current market conditions natin. Next, tignan po natin yung Jollibee, no? Everyone's favorite, including mine. Now, where price is essentially from etong pinag-usapan natin before na head and shoulders pattern, 'di ba? Broke down, came back, almost tag supply, tapos broke down, nag-form tayo ngayon ng range dito between mga 202 pesos hanggang dito sa higher end natin at around 230. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you something that I only initially showed my students and pinakita ko rin doon sa isang video natin yung top 3, no? So if you wanted to watch yung top 3 na video, be sure and do so. Pinapakita ko yung plano ko kung sakali man at patuloy na mag-deteriorate yung Jollibee. Okay? But essentially, ito yon. If price can continue to come lower, then I would be looking to see kung meron bang potential trade somewhere within the white zone beneath. Okay? Kasi, bakit hindi ko na lang siya bilihin outright dito? Hindi pa ba siya quote-unquote mura? The thing is, I don't know. As you guys know, I don't rely a lot on fundamental analysis, but from what I understand, even at where price is trading right now, for a lot of mga brokers or analysts, it's still above yung quote-unquote fair value price niya. Okay? But that's always been the case with Jollibee. Diba? Kasi talagang malakas nga naman siya. So for me, rather than trying to chase price within this range, which to be very fair, could be a tradable range, and if I get something that sets up, it might be something that I look at moving forward. But for now, what I want to see is for price to continue to push lower. And if it does, tas mag-form tayo ng something like this, parang inverse head and shoulders pattern dito sa baba, then yun, pwede nating sandalan yun as a potential trade idea para dito sa Jollibee. Diba? Kasi kapag bibil tayo where we are right now, pwede natin sabihin, hindi ba nag-double bottom na, nag-form na tayo ng support dyan, etc., etc., etc. Diba? And all of that will be true. But, tignan din natin, the opposite is also there. Nag-form ka ng double bottom, price is trying to push up, but to where? Hindi ba dito rin sa mga previous lows na to? So, technically speaking, yes, makabili ka dito, maybe it pushes higher, pero pwede rin siyang mauntog altogether sa area na yan. And even if it pushes a little higher, ang dami na rin nating naipit dito kasi ang dami ng chop na naganap along the way. So I'm a bit more wary to just jump in without seeing something that's a clear-cut indication for me na, hey, you know what? Jollibee might actually be range-bound muna and there's a decent chance na mabalikan natin yung high-end ng range natin. Kasi if you look at it, at the end of the day, yung direction natin dito, di ba? If you draw it, pababa eh. We haven't come back to the high end of the range. Each time we try, we just keep forming lower highs. Okay? So I'm just a bit more wary about the whole thing. But if we can push lower, then that's perhaps something that we can look at dito sa Jollibee. Something that we could form a trade idea around moving forward. Now, kung sabihin natin within the next few days, few weeks, something develops within this range sa Jollibee, then of course, pag-uusapan natin to ulit. Don't worry, no? We'll monitor this closely. But for now, the most clear-cut na trade idea na nakikita ko outside of potential quick bounces here and there is to just simply wait, be more patient, see if price can push lower, come to an area na mas desirable para sa atin, na mas quote-unquote cheap, and then we take it from there. Kapag pag bumaba nga siya at makakuha tayo ng price action na gusto natin, then di tayo magdadalawang isip. Papasok tayo, di ba? Both feet, jump into the water. Di ba? Walang pikit-pikit. But for now, wala. Hintay-hintay muna kasi it's caught in the middle of all this chop. Next, tignan po natin yung AGI, no? Now, tong AGI, we need to observe na number one, it was trading within this range before, diba? Then we broke out, came back, we tested yung high end ng range na yan, we bounced from there, and ngayon, more or less, where we are is around the same area. Yes, there's been a lot of chop, but where price currently is, as in right at this very candle, is within that area there. Okay? So, what does that tell me personally? Ngayon, ako lang to para sa akin kapag ganon, walang kasiguraduhan yung merkado kung saan niya gustong pumunta. Ano ba yung current direction natin? If you look at it, we have been forming, diba, albeit in a not very clear pattern, diba, high, low, lower high, lower low, diba? And then this is your potential lower high or that one. But essentially, we have been moving at the very least in a short-term downtrend. Okay? Nag-form tayo ng range dito, 'di ba? And again, where price is caught gobsmack between these two ranges eh. 'Di ba? Kaya from there, ang hirap sabihin na okay, dapat from here yung clear cut natin na directional bias should be up or should be down. 'Di ba? Lalo na kasi yung PSE right now, or rather yung PSEI at tinatry din mag-bounce, no, sa certain level. So hindi naman talaga unidirectional ang direction yan eh. Meaning, hindi yan babaksak lang straight for like 20 straight days or 1 month. It's not gonna happen that way. Even if we're in a bear market, you will still see spikes. You will still see bounces. Diba? Hindi pwedeng araw-araw red as much as hindi rin pwede araw-araw green. Okay? So, from where we are right now, ang pinakamasasabi ko lang is kung from here, bumagsak tayo, mabasag natin tong 10.5, then highly likely we come back to trade within this range beneath between 9.8 hanggang 10.5. Okay? If sabihin naman natin we can come back and reclaim firmly etong 11.4, hindi yung ganito na we're chopping around, yes, there's a possibility na mag-trade tayo ulit within this range sa taas between 11.4 to 12 pesos. But, okay, para sa akin, mas hindi na siya ganun kadaling i-trade compared dito sa bottom range na to. Yes, there was also a lot of chop, pero at least, diba, masabi man lang natin, kasi umalis na tayo dyan then price came back. So, baka yung mga namili rito, hindi naman naipit yan nakapag-take profit yung mga yan. Diba? So, kung bumalik tayo rito, this could be a tradable range. Whereas yung mga namili sa range na to, yes, they could have sold here. Baka bumili sila ulit dito, tapos ngayon naipit na naman sila. So, kung mag-breakdown tayo, balikan natin yan, baka hindi siya ganun ka-clear cut na matrade natin. Plus, it's only 60 cents. So, it might not be very appealing to most of you. Okay? If we can come back and reclaim 12, we'll rediscuss AGI again. Pero I purposely didn't make levels above that para lang hindi magulo, mas focus yung attention natin sa tinitignan natin. So for me, again, if we can break back down, break beneath tong 10.5, we can see if we can trade this range between 9.8 to 10.5. Pero kung kunwari ma-reclaim natin tong 11.4, yes, that's more bullish than bearish, but a trade might not materialize, at least not for me, for the time being. Okay? Pero while it's caught in between these two ranges, there's really not much else left to do other than to watch. Sometimes, patience talaga ang kailangan sa merkado Yes, a lot of people gusto nila, hindi, kailangan kahit bear market, kumikita ako ng limpak-limpak na salapi. But, okay, it almost always pays better kung meron kayong quote-and-quote specialization Diba? Kung meron kayong mga setups na hinahanap na bread and butter na paulit-ulit rather than cycling through setups and not mastering all of them. So ako, pag ganito yung market, alam ko my edge isn't there. So, para manatili ang edge, kailangan mag-insert ng patience. And then finally, tignan po natin yung web. Now, tong web, a lot of people were very excited for it. We pushed higher, almost reached tong 4.48 na resistance level natin from before. Diba? Nabitin ng konti, then we rolled over. Ngayon, nag-form tayo ng range between 3.22 and 3.8, And in fact, today we closed at 3.79. Okay? Now, I'm sure a lot of people are excited to trade this kasi nakikita nila, hindi ba ito yung consolidation at the high? Tapos nagta-taper yung volume while we're consolidating, which is more or less textbook of what we want to see. Diba? So nagkaroon tayo ng high volume, spike, decrease in volume while consolidating. Those are all good signs. But kung gusto nyo itong i-trade, you just need to understand yung risk na involved. Okay? Now, if you wanted to trade this, pwede naman. But where would you put your stop? Ako, I would argue that the stop needs to go at the very least beneath this candle here. So, beneath 3.22. So, dun pa lang, medyo malayo tayo, But, kumbaga, at the very least, in this particular instance, baka worth it naman yung risk-reward niya. Is it a trade that I would personally take? For me, no. Kasi nga, para sa akin, hindi pa ganun ka-clear-cut yung nangyayari. Yes, it could be consolidation at the highs. And I think a good confirmation of that is we can reclaim etong 3.8. So if we can start trading above tong 3.8, I would start thinking na baka babalikan natin tong range na to between 3.8 to 4.48. And perhaps from there, makahanap ako ng mas magandang stop placement for my trade na hindi ito. Then that would yield better risk reward for me. That would entice me to get into a trade. Now, the other thing is, pwede rin sabihin ng iba, hindi ba bullish engulfing na yan? So, dapat pasok na tayo kasi bullish candle diba? And that's true, Kaso, in this particular instance, nagkaroon tayo ng bullish engulfing within the range. So, it's not exactly reversing anything. Wala naman nagbago. We're still stuck within this range here. But, that could potentially lead dun nga sa sinasabi ko na if we can come back and we can take out tong 3.8 and start trading firmly above it, then that could give us an opportunity to find a trade idea na pwede nating sandalan to trade at the very least itong range na to from 3.8 hanggang 4.48. But from where it is now, kung papasok tayo right here, diba, at the close of this candle, essentially, we're buying resistance. And that's something that I very rarely do, no? I realize ibang tao sabihin nila, kasi ginagawa ko, pagpababa, bibili na ako konti, malapit na ma-break yung resistance, magdadagdag ako. And if that works for them, that's all well and good, no? Sabi ko nga, hindi lang naman yan isang sistema na gagana eh. Marami naman kayong pwedeng gawin para kumita sa merkado. It's just something that I don't personally do. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. Alright? Now, kung from here naman, let's say nauntog tayo dito sa resistance natin, and then we roll over from here and we break beneath itong 3.22. So, from there, ang unang pwede natin i-expect is baka mag-fill tong gap na to, and whether or not mag-bounce tayo from there remains to be seen. Okay? But I expect some type of reaction kahit sa lower time frames man lang. Kung hindi nag-hold yung gap na yan, then the next level of support will be at 2.92, followed by 2.74, and then at 2.42. At that point, I don't think na worth it pa siyang laruin kasi parang na-undo mo na yung entire move. Alright? To the upside, na-explain ko na, if we can reclaim 3.8 and magbigay siya ng magandang setup that we can get into with decent risk reward, then that could be a trade that's worth taking, no? Dito sa web. But again, be forewarned lang na this isn't as liquid as some of the other stocks that you might be used to. Hindi ko naman po kasi alam kung anong mga stocks yung tinitrade nyo in general, no? So, maaari na makasakay kayo, kumita agad, tapos in 1 or 2 days, biglang mababawi dun ulit kasi medyo mas volatile siya due to its illiquidity. Alright? But for now, obviously, liquidity is not an issue kasi nga nagkakaroon tayo ng volume, nagkakaspike tayo. So, sa mga nakasakay po, congratulations. Kung hindi pa po kayo na i-stop out, make sure lang that you trail your stops accordingly para kung sakali man pong mangyari ang ayaw natin mangyari, ay hindi po natin maibabalik sa merkado ang karamihan ng kinita natin. So guys, dito po nagtatapos yung video natin, no? I hope nakatulong po to sa inyo kahit konti and may natutunan kayo kahit papano. And if so, I would really appreciate it if you give this video a like and consider subscribing to my channel. And as always guys, maraming salamat po sa panonood. I really appreciate it. Good luck and happy trading!